What's going on, gamers? We got an interesting topic here popping up. Yeah, we do. So you guys know that there's been a lot of topics about PlayStation games going day and date on Steam. I told people I never thought Sony was going to do no day and date games for their tentpole titles. No way in hell. And then when you look at like the recent results, we saw that article like 1.5 billion on Steam or maybe two, but then it was like 1.2, 1.5% of their entire revenue made this entire generation because they made like 135, 136 billion off of PlayStation. So it's really insignificant. Now, what I think Sony always should have done, no matter what, if they decide this, because we're going to get to this in a second, is always have live service games there. You know what I mean? Or certain games to the side, like Kina. I mean, that makes sense. But according to Jason Schreier, Dunk on Chud's guy, Sony could be pulling away from PC ports for their single player games. Hmm. Oh boy. Now, this doesn't surprise me if they do this. This is coming straight from Bloomberg, Jason Schreier, as we know. Here's my thing. I think that that's definitely possible. I'm not going to confirm it because I didn't see Sony say it. But him coming out saying this is saying that he has some type of intel, and it was on Triple Click podcast where he said this, by the way. And he's saying that Wolverine is never going to come to PC. It's going to remain a permanent PlayStation exclusive. They're not going to do like what they did with Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. Then you have some people thinking that, oh, not only is Sony going to be doing that, but we also think that they're going to close off the Xbox Magnus from trying to sneak in as a PC and get PlayStation games on that platform. And it's like, I mean, I could only see that being somewhat relevant if there was some type of competition. There's no competition anymore between PlayStation and Xbox. They're not worried about the Xbox Magnus. It's not going to sell that much. But would Sony still want to shut that off, just because they want to? I mean, that's a small chance, but I don't think that's why this will be the case here. I would be surprised. I would want to see what they would have to say. But I think in general, they just see that the revenue is low and they want to empower the PlayStation community as much as possible. And I think when it comes to RAM prices going up and all that, I don't know. They kind of want to make sure they don't lose anything to PC. But I mean, did that really even happen? We've talked about this. Most people play third party on there outside of the exclusives because you can't play their exclusives forever. But it does obviously help because they've been kind of hybridizing that for a while. Only Nintendo is you're never getting my games no matter what. And if Nintendo goes third party the day they do that or put their games on other platforms the day Nintendo leaves, which is kind of funny. But yeah, getting back to this, there's a lot of speculation going on with this. We're going to read 3 threads so that we can see what other people think as well. Right here it says, I think the sense I'm getting is that they're backing away from putting their exclusive console stuff like traditional single player titles on PC. And what he means by what I'm getting is that somebody is telling him something, but he can't fully share it. Otherwise, why are you coming out and saying this? Right? You've got to know who you represents too. So I think there's some ground to this. I made a video about this before. That Sony really does not need to put their single player games on PC. Of course, they could take that extra money, but it's not as much as you think. And to a lot of people, that is a lot of money. But for Sony, I mean, it's like 1 point something percent of their total revenue. Plus, Steam has to get its cut. So it's like they might just scrap it and just say, no, stuff like Marathon, stuff like Helldivers, yeah, that's live service. You know what I mean? We'll do that. But when it comes to single player games, no. Going down here, he says Jason Schreier made these comments on a Triple Click podcast. Translation, please don't show the Steam concurrence. Let us hide the numbers, lie, and insist it's doing great and own the chuds. That's absolutely hilarious. But here's the thing. It's like, you're not doing amazing on Steam. If you guys seen the numbers, like Spider-Man 2, for example, selling like 15 million on PlayStation or 16 and like 700K on PC. That's terrible compared to what's going on PlayStation. The Maverick, or Sabi says, the more likely reason, especially in Wolverine's case, is that the game would be too buggy on PC because no one knows what they're doing. I mean, there was a Last of Us aspect with that, but I'm not sure about Insomniac. The Maverick Trader says console wars are back, just with a different battlefield. PC players might want to start reconsidering their setup. Definitely considering how much more pricier things are getting too. If you want to start running those type of games, if you're trying to run a PS6 exclusive too. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think with the way things are getting this year is that PC gaming is definitely getting shafted big time, and everybody knows that it sucks. Please use this more recent photo of Jason. That's absolutely hilarious, man. This guy says, if every game comes to Steam, eventually the console becomes a paperweight. This is smart, if brutal, move for the brand. Yeah, I don't see Sony doing it, like I said. Phil leaves Microsoft, they said, and within 72 hours, we're back to console exclusives pain. I mean, you saw that going on in the Xbox world, too. So we get an idea right here on Pirate's Post. Now, we got another post here. This is where it came from, guys, right here. I mean, it's not speculation, but sometimes topics come up. He says it's not speculation. Keyword here. This is not speculation. This is him. Right, etc. But sometimes topics come up on the show before I'm quite ready. Guys, keyword, let's read here. Before I'm quite ready to publish a story about them. More to come soon, I'm sure. Thanks for listening to Triple Click. This week's episode was a lot of fun. This is the other thread that I was telling you about that I had here. John Lennon also said the same thing, that Sony was going to back away from Digital Foundry. See this? Sony backing away from putting single-player games on PC Steam, basically. Schreier later said it's not speculation, and he has more on that soon. So it seems like we're going to get a full-blown story about this down the line. They're saying this literally makes no sense. Bigger audience means more sales. To an extent, yes, but it's not doing that well. And, you know, Totoki said what he said back then, right? By saying that PC had meaning. But I'm telling most guys that, guys, this is mostly live service and small titles like Kena and stuff like that, but not the tentpole titles. In today's market, most people won't just buy a console for one game. They saw Pokemon LGFR top the charts in the eShop and said, it's time to stop whoring our games to PC, thank God. That's what they say, right? I mean, honestly, I don't care if I can get my experience. Whether it goes to PC or not, it's not changing my personal experience from buying a game. Bonita says, yeah, I've been thinking of this happening since the end of 2024. Last first-party game we got from them was The Last of Us 1. Death Stranding 2, Lost Soul, and Stellar Blade aren't owned by them, and they are just helping with marketing and publishing. I don't think it's worthy if it damages brand image. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're in that position, it actually makes sense, right? It's like Death Stranding 2 is like, no, that's not Sony's. Kojima owns that. So he wants to branch out, and they need the sales. It's not like it's doing amazing. You see what I mean? So that's what some of the people saying here. Rest in peace, Soros without the PC. I don't know about that. A PC player will never go play on a PlayStation 5. When will they understand this? Well, you're not giving them the sales that they want anyway, so Sony doesn't need you. I'm just saying, if that was the case, Sony is fine. And then we have this thread over here by Genki, where somebody says, porting single-player AAA games to PC didn't hurt PlayStation business. But the second wave of PC ports, God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Horizon, Last of Us 2, all underperformed. Sony has to decide, day one on PC or reform the process. That's a decent pitch. It does seem that PC sales have dropped off with the latest wave of first-party single-player games. As if they could afford such a thing. Dude, they're making more money than ever. I don't know why people think that. Like they should. PlayStation being the only home gaming console on the market with exclusive is literally the superpower. Now, it's time to bring gamers to the platform, not away. Well, yeah, you know about Nintendo when you say that. So here's the thing, though. Right? Sony estimated to have made $1.5 billion from Steam, but the novelty is wearing off. Right? Master pace. Do I think Zooey is a pony? But here's the thing of what Sony's doing on their ecosystem. And that was like, what, 5 years on Steam? Look at this for PlayStation, though. It's nothing to Sony. And so, in comparison, it's chump change. It's like, if I drop you, do you really think you're going to hurt me? No, you're not. But I will still give you my live service games. And I guarantee you, most of the money that they made out of that was live service. And games like Helldivers. Helldivers made a lot of money on PC. That's where most of that's coming from. So when you look at every other category, it's like, it's not doing anything. So they could do that, just to empower the exclusivity on PlayStation even more and strengthening the brand image against Nintendo, because that's who they're going against. You know what I mean? They're not worried about the Xbox Magnus. I don't know why they would. And it says right here, it's no surprise they recently started using the word exclusive again on their website. Marvel's Wolverine. From Insomniac's developers of the critically acclaimed Marvel Spider-Man franchise comes Marvel's Wolverine. Discover ferocious combat and action-packed set pieces as anti-hero Logan searches for answers about his past in this single-player adventure exclusive for PlayStation 5 consoles. Yeah, it looks like there's not going to be a Steam version. They're trying to say that. Returnal coming exclusively to PlayStation 5 consoles in 2026. And if Returnal is launching next month, that means it's not a 6-month window to say that it's coming there. There are some games they didn't bring over, you know, like Gran Turismo 7 and stuff like that. Like in Demon's Souls, it never happened. But you see this article by GT7 run on the Switch too, because people thinking they're trying to see how they want to prepare for the PlayStation handheld. That's a possibility. And there's other speculations about that, but that's a separate video. But I mean, this is what we pretty much have to say about it for the most part, guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that Sony is going to drop single-player games from Steam and pull it off, and only put live service games and games like maybe Kena, like little side projects like that, and say, that's okay, I can share that because I want to get as much publishing power from that as possible. And the Magnus is not getting any of my new games, if that's included, right? Because there's some people that were speculating about that, which I think is funny. This guy says, even prior to this, I don't think Gran Turismo 7 or Astrobot would have ever gone to PC. That's another game that never came to PC either, and that got Game of the Year. So it's like, you get certain PlayStation games that I think Sony thought would be very well on Steam, but it underperformed, and then they didn't put Astrobot there, and they didn't get the sales they wanted. Gran Turismo never went. Demon's Souls never went. And certain other titles that just never went over there. So it's definitely something interesting how they're selecting what they want. But then when it comes to other games, they're just not ever doing it. And if other games do go, it's because Sony does not own those rights. Like games like Stellar Blade, because that's South Korea's game. You know what I mean? Games like Death Stranding 2, because Kojima took all the rights now. And he's going to be able to do whatever he wants with that because it's their game. But other than that, I don't know. I can't clarify this, but if he's coming out saying this, it is something to think about. Definitely when you think about something like Ghost of Yote, right? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below as usual. Peace out. Have a great day. I mean, does this mean that PC gamers are getting screwed over? No, because Sony shared their games with you for a while anyways. If you didn't support their games and they're pulling them away, then that's on you, right? We've said this before when it comes to certain platforms. Since Astrobot didn't sell millions being Game of the Year, that's PlayStation players' fault. If PC gamers really wanted PlayStation games, they would have over-supported them, not trying to steal them or pirate them, right? Because that makes somebody not want to work with you then. So it's like, I think if you really wanted PlayStation games so bad, then you will be supporting them in the numbers. I think PC gamers are going to be fine regardless, and if they want to go get a PlayStation 5, they can. That's what I think. So I don't think that's a huge deal. And I don't think it's going to hurt Steam if that doesn't happen. But obviously, they would want to get those games just to have as much games as possible. Peace out, y'all. Keep gaming no matter what platform you're on. Later.